mother and son on a mission to move their ancestral home.
I've never used a power tool in my life.
Will this antique cottage survive as it's chopped in two?
It's the first house I've ever cut in half.
And takes flight?
Part of my house is now well over 72 feet in the air.
Straighten out, sharp.
Moving this country cottage will be nothing short of one massive move. Nova Scotia, one of Canada's 3 maritime provinces. Blessed with miles of pristine coastlines and vast rolling forests.
This wire here probably should come off so it doesn't get hung up and stuff.
Carol Ann Dimone has lived here in the village of Blockhouse her whole life. Together with her 20-year-old son, Justin, she's embarking on an epic endeavor.
You ready, Carol? Get up there.
She's bought and plans to move this 250-year-old cottage. It holds a special place in Carol Ann's heart. Her grandfather was born and grew up here.
He and his wife raised me, or my grandmother raised me, from the time I was 6 months old after my mother died with cancer.
My great-grandfather actually grew up in the house, was born in it, and I feel like he would be very proud of us keeping this house. He was a big part of my life.
4 generations of the family have lived in this house, and I'll be the 5th to, when I eventually move into it, be the 5th generation moving into this house.
When her grandfather died 2 years ago, Carol Ann knew she wanted his home back in the family.
I want to preserve the house in memory of him and his family members that he always respected. He is a big part of this move now.
After centuries on this spot, the cottage was threatened with demolition to make way for a wider highway.
I actually lost more sleep thinking that it might be torn down than worrying about the money I don't have to save it.
Carol Ann is a hard-working single mom. She runs an embroidery business by day and works in a pub at night.
There we are, Stephen.
Thank you, Carol.
Enjoy your beer.
Carol Ann's throwing all her savings into this project. Moving the house will set her back $51,000. Foundations and landscaping, another $50,000. In total, the project will cost Carol Ann more than $100,000. She'll be down to her last penny. This move is only possible thanks to a gift from her grandfather before he died. This stunning 45-acre plot.
He has given me the land that this house is gonna be put on. It's almost like it was meant to happen.
But getting the cottage here will be a massive challenge. On its 2-mile journey, it must do battle with 20 power lines and 2 bridges. A treacherous trek for this antique home. It's a heavy timber house, so before they can call in movers to truck it, they must strip out all the plaster to make it lighter to lift.
It's a lot cheaper to do it yourself. It's free.
To keep costs down, Carol Ann and Justin are getting their hands dirty and doing the prep work themselves.
Woo! I've never used a power tool in my life, but I'm about to learn.
It takes 6 months to strip the house bare. To move the cottage, Carol Ann calls in Nova Scotia's leading house truckers. Father and son crew, Bill and Jason Leal.
So I've been moving houses, structures, churches, buildings for over 40 years now.
Turned 70 last Monday, and he can still tell you what road to go down. He knows this province better than any map you'll look at.
First challenge. The house is 47 feet wide, far too big to squeeze down narrow country lanes. So while Jason's crew set up the trucks, carpenter Corey takes drastic action.
It's the first house I've ever cut in half.
They're slicing the old summer kitchen off the house.
There we go. All clear.
Space around the kitchen is tight. The only way to load it onto a truck is to wrap it with steel cables. and hoist it with a crane.
Come on up on your load easy.
Such a fragile structure could easily collapse under its own weight.
It's starting to lift. We're off the rock edge. It's very exciting.
Keep coming up on your load there, Nick, please.
Very exciting to see off the ground.
Right in here. Yep.
Pretty tight between the house and the crane. We just gotta be real gentle.
With the kitchen dangling by a thread, a knock now could wreck it.
I've never pushed a house before.
Looks good, buddy. Keep going around.
For heaven's sakes, watch your fingers here.
Okay, we're there. That was pretty painless. That was easy enough.
Acrobatics over, they park the kitchen, ready for the move.
That one went well. We didn't drop that part. We'll see about the next one, a little bigger.
To lift the main house off its footings, the crew must slide 2 steel support beams under the floor. But the woodwork is disintegrating.
More rotten than what we think, eh?
We suspected a little bit of rot. The house is probably between 200 and 250 years old. The question is how much rot we actually find when we get working on it. I guess we're gonna find out.
In Blockhouse, Nova Scotia, Carol Ann Demone and her son Justin are battling to save their family's historic cottage from demolition.
I actually lost more sleep thinking that it might be torn down than worrying about the money I don't have to save it.
The kitchen's loaded onto a truck. Now the team face an even bigger challenge. The cottage is hemmed into its plot by busy roads. Loading the main section of the house onto a truck on this intersection is an accident waiting to happen. So Jason and Phil will use a special rig that forms a cradle to support the old house. The crew will have to be very gentle as they lift the fragile house and slide it sideways off its footings. Before they slip the cradle under the building, the crumbling timber frame needs some emergency surgery.
It's pretty rotten there.
A little soft, is it, Corey?
A little soft.
We're hoping it holds it together.
Lower your end, Jason. Oh, geez, now you're off. You're off too far this way.
To raise the cottage off the ground, Jason fixes a pneumatic lifting frame to the front, while Phil hooks up the truck.
You got her. All right, guys, let's go.
If the patched up timbers aren't strong enough, the cradle could rip through the house as they lift, destroying Carol Ann's ancestral home and her life savings.
Holy! Hey, 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 hey!
The timbers just take the strain. With the cottage balancing on the cradle, they slide it sideways off its footings. This is a high-risk maneuver. A nudge the wrong way, and the cottage could tumble onto the road.
Real gentle. All right, hold her there for a second, boys.
After a tense few hours, Carol Ann's cottage is finally ready for the road trip tomorrow.
Right now would be about a bad time to change your mind. You're into it now. She's yours.
It's 8:30 a.m. on move day, and the whole village have turned out to watch the spectacle.
Everything was looking like it's falling into place. It's all going well. The house is looking good, and we're ready to roll.
The police have closed the only road into town for the move, so they gotta get rolling, and fast.
Well, you gotta watch them wires. I don't want to get you into them wires.
Okay, catch her now, Jake. Catch her hard, buddy. Now.
Spinning the unwieldy 40-ton load around onto the road, dodging cables and crowds, isn't easy. And things are about to get a whole lot worse. There's only one direct road to the new site, and it's a tight fit. Low-hanging trees threaten to knock the cottage off its perch. A brush with a big branch could write off this antique home. To avoid a crash, the team must cut the branches and make minute adjustments to their route to dodge the trunks. Even with the branches trimmed, it's gonna be a tight squeeze.
It's coming quite close to the branches, that's for sure. I think they're gonna clip a few on the way by.
I'm gonna stop on the base of this hill if I don't have to.
The trees make the climb up this slope even more treacherous.
Well, we got a lot of weight here too. So if we get stopped, we might get into some trouble with getting her going again.
You're gonna think of that in the tree here.
A huge tree suddenly stops them in their tracks.
You're back in now.
Stuck on a hill, trapped in a forest, is their worst nightmare.
Pass me up the chainsaw.
Look at them just hanging. Oh my God.
With Jason on your team, who needs a ladder?
On the road again. See how far we make it this time.
In Nova Scotia, Carol Ann's cottage is finally on the move.
It'd be good to not have too many issues along the way.
But the hurdles ahead could derail everything. The house is over 24 feet tall, which is a big problem. 20 high-voltage power lines clutter the roof. Hit any of these, and this wooden cottage will fry. So the crew must coordinate 4 teams of electricians to lift or cut each cable. A huge task which will slow them down.
It's a lot of lines for a 1.5 kilometer trip.
There's a lot of injuries around power lines, and it's very important to make sure that we handle this right.
It seems like every house has its own line.
It takes 4 hours for Jason to weave past 19 cables. But there's just one more left to limbo, and it's massive.
We're going under a 138,000 volt line. We're very worried about it's quite close.
We're supposed to have about 15 feet and we got 5.
Phil lowers the pneumatic rig to its limit. It's almost scraping the ground.
Whenever you're ready, Jason, put her in gear and come on ahead, buddy.
We're just going to stand back at least 20 feet. We're not going to go near the rig whatsoever for any reason.
The yellow knob, put it up the high side. I'm gonna take you through here. I'm gonna keep you moving through here.
It's close. But they make it by a whisker.
All right, Jason, you want to come ahead here?
They pick up the pace, but yet another obstacle could slow them down.
The task is to get over the small bridge.
After months of work, Carol Ann can't watch this move go wrong now.
Do we have enough height?
They max out the rig to get over the railings.
We're close. What are we, 4 inches from the side? Maybe? Maybe 4 inches? I'm not sure.
Balancing precariously 5 feet in the air. It's a deep dive if the cottage topples. But with a sigh of relief, they clear the bridge.
We got lots of practice coming over bridges.
they make it off the road before the day is out. It's a steep climb to the new footings.
Right about here. Just favor the left side of the road, and we gotta make a turn.
And this is as close as they can get with the truck.
That's very, very tight. They were hoping for a foot. They ain't even got an inch.
Hauling the main section of the cottage onto the basement will be the crew's toughest test yet. They need not one, but 2 cranes to lift and swing it into position. The cranes must work in perfect harmony to coordinate their movements. With such a fragile structure, this will be tricky. But with some delicate maneuvering,
Looking great, boys. You're coming. That's the way to do it. Nice and easy. I got a boom, Steve. Down.
Bill's team makes a textbook touchdown.
Yeah, she's down.
The summer kitchen is the last piece of the puzzle.
Not 100% sure how they're going to get it around the house because the crane's kind of in the way. I assume they got a plan for that.
Yes, Jason does have a plan for that. He's gambling on the kitchen being strong enough to leapfrog over the house into place.
I'm a little amazed. Actually, I'm a lot amazed. Part of my house is now well over 72 feet in the air.
The kitchen finally lands in its new woodland home. But there's a big problem.
Your kitchen don't fit.
I want my kitchen to fit.
But we have a square foundation and not so square house.
In Nova Scotia, Carol Ann's 250-year-old cottage has survived a cross-country trek to its new home. But the drama's not over yet.
Your kitchen don't fit.
I want my kitchen to fit.
Right now, there's a gaping hole over where her oven will sit. Bill has a plan to fix it, but it's radical. They'll take an excavator to one corner and a 20-ton bulldozer to the other and squeeze.
We're just going to be awful careful that we push real easy and don't move this piece because I wouldn't want that moved.
No.
No.
It's a risky strategy.
If you push it too much, it could go and topple right into the hole, and we don't want to do that.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see how this one plays out.
Just try that real easy, Graham.
One false move, and they could crush the cottage to a pulp. With nerves of steel, they squeeze the cottage into shape, and the two halves slot into place.
That's all I can do with it.
At last, Carol Ann's family relic is rescued from destruction, sitting proudly on her grandfather's leafy plot.
Yeah, the house does look good up here. It was a long stretch to get it up here, but now that it's up there, it's definitely worth it.
Carol Ann's looking forward to making this cottage her new home.
I'm feeling good. It's all in place. It's I guess the hard work now begins.
It's gonna take Carol Ann years to save up enough money to refurbish the cottage. For inspiration, she's visiting this fully restored 1816 farmhouse at Ross Farm Museum.
This is another room that kind of inspires me because it is so open. It's just plain beautiful, the simplicity of it all.
As the family return to their cottage, it's as though it's always been here.
The house looks nice.
Yeah, it does, especially in this lighting.
Sun setting over it, yeah.
Carol Ann put her life savings on the line for this move. But it was finally worth it to know the family's old home is safe for generations to come.
I feel very close to my grandparents when I'm around this house, and it's good to have it back in the family.
Cheers.